Let's welcome in Bill Reiter, Odyssey radio host on 97.1, The Fan in L.A. He's a sports journalist and writer, also hosts the Reiter Than You podcast. Here's how I want to start today, Bill, if it's okay with you. I have not yet played the LeBron sound from yesterday where he talks about what's going to truly impact his decision. I'd like to play it and then have you react, if that's okay.
Whatever you want. I'm excited. Let's do it.
All right, here we go. This is LeBron on what's going to affect his decision.
In 10, when I made a decision to go to Miami, I had my reasons. When I went back to Cleveland in 14, I had my reasons. So actually, this would be the fourth. And then when I went to L.A. 8 years ago, I had my reasons. So, for me now, I have an almost 22-year-old son who is not my former teammate, which is hilarious. I have a 19-year-old son that's at the University of Arizona. But it's my almost 12-year-old daughter who is pulling the weight a lot. Yeah. So going to my daughter, I was home for the 4th of July, and my daughter came home after being out with her friends and cousins and everything, and I pulled her to the side because she's up as of age now. So, anytime I leave, she's like, Dad, where you going? I'm going with you. Where we going? Yeah. So I pulled her to the side, and I was like, baby, I'm letting you know, I don't want you to hear from nobody else, but I won't be playing for the Lakers next year. I will be playing somewhere else, so I won't be home all the time. And you may not have an answer right now. You can give me an answer now. You can wait. You can write it down. Just want to know how you're feeling about it because you mean a lot to me. Yeah. With me being away from you means a lot. So the family portion is a big thing too. My daughter and my wife and things of that nature. And cause I'm a big family guy. So there's a lot of things that's, people are like, hurry up and make a decision, Brian. It's like, okay, it's not just about the team.
All right, Bill, you heard it. If you listen to that, does that give you any insight on where he may end up, and what do you take that as?
Yeah, I sort of have two reactions, guys. The first is I respect and even relate to that. I've moved my kids a bunch for my job. I get it. I have a daughter and a son, 17 and 14. And my second is you would think that would mean closer to L.A., and you would think that would have to mean Golden State because it's just hard for me to get my arms around the idea he'd ever be a Clipper, and obviously that hasn't been at all reportedly in the mix. But I will say, as a guy that's covered LeBron since his first year in Miami, LeBron says a lot of things and tends to surprise people when he makes his decision. So if I were to take that clip at face value, I would say it would increase the likelihood it's the Warriors, but I tend not to take anything LeBron says at face value because he is very surprising and keeps his cards pretty close to the vest in these situations.
Well, Bill, from what you've gleaned so far in this process, how much have you flip-flopped? Because it feels like the reports out there change. I was just going to say every single day we're hearing different information. Sometimes it's leaning towards the Warriors. Sometimes they're in fourth. They're the front runners. How much have you flip-flopped from where you started and to where you are now?
So a ton, although the flip-flopping is really limited for me to 3 teams. And again, this could be wrong because having covered him at least since he left Cleveland the first time, other than when he went back to Cleveland the second time, which I had some information on, I had been shocked every single time he's made a move. It's between the Warriors and Cleveland and Miami for me. And if I had to guess, right, my inclination would be Cleveland is the favorite, and then probably you guys, the Warriors and the Heat are probably, if you combine them, 50%, and Cleveland's probably 50%. Although, guys, if he comes down and announces he's going to be a New York Knick or a Spur or a Timberwolf, I'm going to try not to be surprised because every time he does this, he kind of follows the sound of his own drummer, and sometimes that's a sound none of us expected.
We're joined by Bill Reiter, Odyssey radio host on 97.1 The Fan in L.A. When he talks about family and, not being around, my first thought is, could that possibly mean that either the Clippers or the Suns could be in play?
Yeah, that was my thought, too. So I thought about the Suns because you're right. It's a very, very short flight. It's an easy flight if you're on a private plane. I thought about the Warriors, obviously not incredibly far from L.A. The problem with Phoenix, I think, and again, I'm trying to riddle out what LeBron actually covets and what he actually wants, and so I'm making some suppositions here that may not be in his thinking. Phoenix just isn't good enough to compete. There's a mixed feeling out there nationally and in L.A. about how good the Warriors actually would be with LeBron. I think their ceiling is championship level, or at least third best team in the Western Conference, which gives you a puncher's chance. I don't think that ceiling exists in Phoenix. And again, it's hard for me to get my arms around him being a Clipper because it is from a brand perspective. And here in LA, they are taken so unseriously. The view is so negative toward the Clippers from Lakers fans that, I could be wrong, it's hard for me to think LeBron would put that jersey on.
Bill, having covered LeBron these last few years, and this is something that we constantly get people talking, calling in to talk about. If you were going to describe what the circus is around LeBron James, the LeBron James hoopla, like how big is that, and what would Golden State or any potential location for that matter be absorbing in regards to the attention? What did you make of it when he was down there?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, so I covered him. I lived in Miami when he was there. I was in Cleveland all the time, and obviously I'm here in LA, and I've been in LA basically since he came here 8 years ago. He sucks all the oxygen out of the room. He's kind of like the way that Frank Sinatra was described with the Rat Pack. Great guy as long as you understand who's in charge of the Rat Pack. Look, LeBron's really nuanced, and anything you say about LeBron does not get taken with a nuanced sort of interpretation, and I've been aggregated so many times. But LeBron is a great teammate, a great leader. He's also insufferable. He needs to be the center of attention. He's an incredible competitor. If he respects a coach or a GM or a teammate, they will tell you he's one of the best people to have around. But if he loses his patience with those same people in those same positions or doesn't respect you, he can make your life a living hell. Even without a documentary crew following him around, it is all about LeBron all the time. It is a absolute circus. Now, what I don't know is the culture of that locker room and the way that Steph and Draymond and Steve Kerr and that organization have absorbed big personalities before. Maybe that negates some of that. Maybe LeBron's respect for Steph, if that relationship is as genuine as it seems to be from the outside looking in, negates some of that. But the reality is having LeBron can be a mess, and it's usually worth it.
Bill Reiter joining us on 95.7 The Game, Odyssey radio host on 97.1 The Fan in L.A. We know LeBron's one of the all-time greats, but my question is, he's 42. Like, what have you noticed that's slipping in his game?
Yeah, I mean, defense and energy. I don't want to say hustle or effort because that's not right. Kind of like Messi in the World Cup. LeBron needs to be able to take minutes off, and he needs to be able to take time off even when he's on the floor. And he is, as I think, capable and impressive and understanding his body and his energy levels as anybody. Kind of reminds me of Tim Duncan's last year with the Spurs, where Duncan played, 25, 26 minutes a game, would not sort of impose himself in the same way sometimes. But because he sort of paced himself, Duncan was amazing in that playoff run and part of the reason he beat LeBron and the Miami Heat. So I think LeBron's issue is that he's not going to give you full defensive effort if you put him out there 35 minutes a game, and he probably shouldn't be playing those kind of minutes. That said, I think we saw this in the playoffs with the Lakers. He is able to save a lot of himself for the postseason and bring a pretty high level when it actually matters, if you have the depth to just get him to that position in April and May.
How well does LeBron, and I know it's varied in different locations, but how well does LeBron work with young guys? Because one thing that the Warriors have done this offseason, more than anything else, they brought in this 11th overall pick, Axel Lindeborg. And I think while some people are assuming that a LeBron James type of presence, arguably the greatest player of all time at that position, could help someone like that, that's not necessarily what I've gleaned him to be associated with throughout his career. So if you were to describe how LeBron treats or sort of acts around young players, how would you describe that?
Look, so I've done this as a reporter who has the same access we all have when we go into a locker room and talking to people. I'm not around closed doors, but I would say that LeBron is indifferent to any talent that cannot help him achieve his goals, which is to compete for a championship. And so I would say at best disinterested and at worst maybe frustrated. Now, if he's playing with it, look, remember Andrew Wiggins was going to be on LeBron's team, and there are some reasons this Wiggins didn't sign with what became Clutch Sports, but LeBron, as I understand it from back in those Cleveland days, was instrumental in Andrew Wiggins being sent out and Kevin Love being brought in. And there's a lot more reasons just Wiggins was young, but that was a part of the equation. But that was then. If LeBron James is still hell-bent on championships wherever he goes this upcoming season, I think that might if you're a young guy, you might just want to buckle up, but LeBron's not going to be your best friend, and you better bring a high level to even remotely catch his eye in the right way. If LeBron's just interested in being near his family, which is fine, or playing with buddies, or going back to Cleveland, or chilling with Steph, or going back with Pat Riley, maybe the equation is a little different this time around.
Bill, where does this documentary fit in? We know that he wants to document this next year, whether it's his last or not, I'm not sure. But, I mean, I think obviously the documentary would be the best with the Warriors in terms of pairing him with Curry. But I'm also thinking of the idea of LeBron joining a new team with like a whole crew coming with him. And is that any part of this equation at all?
Look, I think it's a part of the equation for whoever courts LeBron James. I think you have to be, you better be prepared for the circus and the cameras and all of those things. I think, and again, I'm guessing here. I mean, full disclosure, I've known LeBron a long time. We've gotten along at times. We've not gotten along at times. I am not his favorite person. He was not very nice to me on social media a year ago. It's fine. It's part of the deal. I like LeBron. But I haven't talked to his people in the last year the way that I did in the years sort of predating that. So I'm guessing here, but educated guess, having covered the dude for many, many years, the expectation from LeBron is going to be, you better let the camera crews in. And as long as the answer is yes, and he can have, his sort of big year recorded and documented and put together so he can do his version of The Last Dance, I think everything will be fine. I imagine anyone who wants LeBron already knows you're going to have to open up your locker room. And I think for you guys and for the Heat and for the Cavs, it's just a question of to what degree is the juice worth the squeeze. That is LeBron's age. I think that is also the distractions and the realities of having a guy who wants to be the center of attention all the time, be the center of attention all the time with camera crews everywhere.
Yeah, and Bill, this is kind of what I want to get into. So yesterday at the Fanatics live taping, and with Rich Kleiman and Tyrese Halliburton, everyone's trying to parse words and read these tea leaves, and there was a few that came out. He mentioned trust the process. Then he said it wasn't a reference to Philly. Talked about the clip that we just played for you with his daughter. He also mentioned how he saw something on social media where someone was comparing him to being a play-in type of guy, and that's not who he is anymore. What do you think is the most important thing for him? If you had to, I guess, I don't know if it's rank or kind of list them. We've talked about the documentary, competing for a championship, being in a good location. Like, what do you think is important to him right now?
It's a $1 million question. I have two answers for you. The first is, I think the most important thing to him right now, I know this is not what you're looking for, but it's to be the center of attention. I mean, LeBron is so smart. He is so aware of every word he says, having massive power to bend the physics of the sports media universe. When he says trust the process, that is to have attention in Philadelphia. And when he brings up, and I take him at his word as a family man, it sounds like he's a great dad, but when he brings up his daughter and what she wants, I think that's to pique the interest of people in Golden State. And I can tell you, having done sort of talking to my friends in Cleveland on the Odyssey station there, he'll send coded language where they're convinced he's going to Cleveland. I lived in Miami. I know that Heat organization. He sends coded language where they think he's going to Miami. So first answer to your question is, I think the most important thing right now is that everybody covets LeBron and wraps him in the attention that he seeks. As it relates to what he actually truly wants, and I'm just going to be straight, I have absolutely zero idea. And that's why I'm as interested in his decision here as I have been any of the ones before. Because in the past, I could at least make an educated guess because we all kind of knew what LeBron wanted, what was sort of important to him. I have no idea in a basketball and life sense what he actually wants. And when he's done insisting on being the belle of the ball and the center of attention, and he actually makes a basketball decision and a life decision, guys, your guess is as good as mine.
Bill, good stuff. Really appreciate it, man. And if you had to bet, you taking Cleveland?
I think if I had to bet, like, straight up, I'm taking Cleveland. I think, like, if you're going to Kalshi or one of the Vegas books or one of the I'm probably betting you guys are Miami because I like the odds better. Because
gotcha.
Nothing with this guy would surprise me.